All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're talking about the Cincinnati Bengals. I want to fix this team. I want this team to be fixed so much, and I'm so nervous for them. I don't feel optimistic. I don't feel hopeful, which is weird because I actually deep down do feel hopeful about the Bengals this season. But on the other hand, I don't trust them. And so what I'm trying to get at here is the Cincinnati Bengals remind me a lot of the Chicago Bears. And now the Chicago Bears last season were good, and the Bears in the last few years have actually really turned it around ownership, management-wise. They've really figured it out. They're getting better. Basically, most Bears fans, the owner, Virginia McCaskey, issues, right? I don't really want to talk about it, but issues. Similar to the Cincinnati Bengals where, okay, on paper, things don't look that bad. Like, I know they've given up over 30 points a game defensively for the last two seasons. But obviously, Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, actually a good offensive line. They had a top 10 offensive line last season. Don't quote me on that because I also just heard a metric where it was Colin Cowherd's podcast, and he said the Joe Burrow and the Bengals have never had an offensive line ranked 23rd or better. I heard that and I was like, really? And I went back and looked into it, and Jalen Rivers, the rookie last year, might have just completely screwed the Bengals in total offensive line ranking. But then it's like, are you using PFF? Are you using, what data are you using? What constitutes a top 10 offensive line from one, PFF that gets a lot of flack versus, a different one, right? So I actually thought the Cincinnati Bengals offensive line was pretty good last season. Statistically, it also was backed up. But the Jalen Rivers, who was one of the worst PFF graded offensive linemen. But Dalton Risner was a huge upgrade, and they had a good offensive line, at least as far as I'm concerned. So my gist of this is Cincinnati on paper, that offense is good. They have one projected starter that is a free agent. His name's Dalton Risner. They're going to want to bring him back. I'm assuming he will be brought back. So then it just comes down to defense. And so they have either the 6th or 7th. It's crazy how much that comes up in everyday life. I feel like that's happened numerous times on this video. But they're either 6th or 7th in total cap space. They've got a little over $60 million as it stands right now. If they even want to I've got it right here. If they even want to restructure a Joe Burrow, I've got a lot of crap right here to my left, so I'll just leave it at that. They've got cap space. But do I trust them to do it? That's the thing. Okay, the Bears have had this top defense for so long, they can't figure out the coach or they can't figure out the quarterback. Is this the offseason they're going to do it? So on paper, it's not that big of a deal. They're a couple of moves away. There are 2-3 free agents away and a good draft away defensively from being not that damn bad. You've got your young group. You've got your Miles Murphy. You've got your Demetrius Knight. You've got your Shamar Stewart. And now you need to fill the gaps. And so I don't think they're going to do it, but they might. Duke Tobin, the personnel, the GM, they say, do I have his quote here? I don't think I have his quote. But he was basically, he had a quote we'll see. We'll see what we do in the offseason. I'm not really sure what we're going to do. We'll see. We're going to exhaust every option. And so I made a Bengals video over on Will Upton yesterday talking about some things because it's a pretty dire situation in the sense of we keep doing this. The Bengals haven't made the playoffs in 4 years. They went 9-8 after their conference championship loss by a couple of points to the Kansas City Chiefs in 2022. So after that, they went 12-4, conference championship, lost. They go 9-8, and 6-11. And Joe Burrow got injured week 2 against Jacksonville. Trey Hendrickson in his last year, what looks to be in Cincinnati, played 8 games. I believe it was 8 games. They were banged up. And he's 29. And so he got a home invasion. He got broken into. He had that quote where it basically seemed like, does he want to be playing football? Is an early retirement in the equation for Joe Burrow? So it's kind of dire in the sense of you're seeing one of the most talented quarterbacks in the NFL's career being completely and utterly wasted by this franchise for the last couple of seasons. Joe Burrow last year, 2 years ago now, 2024, put up MVP numbers. He threw like 44 touchdowns, 47 touchdowns, and like 9 picks. They went 9-8. They almost ran the table at the end of the season to make the playoffs. So they've got to just get it going defensively. So I really tried to emphasize that they have one pending free agent on their starting offensive roster, Dalton Risner. They've got the O-line. They've got the weapons. Maybe T. Higgins eventually gets traded. They can't pay all these guys, whatever. They'll deal with all this stuff. Defensively, not that freaking difficult, okay? It shouldn't be that difficult, all right? I threw up a bunch of different names the other day. I've got them on a list here. DJ Reader returns. John Franklin Myers. Take Sonny Siles at pick 10. Take Ruben Bain Jr. at pick number 10. Go out there and snag Cam Curl from the Los Angeles Rams because they can't afford to pay him this year. They can do some moves, but will they? I don't really know. So I made this doom and gloom Bengals video yesterday. It actually isn't doom and gloom, and I rarely talk doom and gloom. This video, this title is going to be some clickbait because it is how I feel. I don't really trust the Cincinnati Bengals organization. But I said a couple of videos ago, I'm trying to be more negative this year, which sounds so stupid. But me being all positive, lovey-dovey, the Seahawks, in the preseason, the Seahawks are going to win the Super Bowl. No one gives a fuck. No one gives a fuck. So I'm a little fired up. So I'm trying to be a little bit more negative, but obviously with some nuance to it. So Ruben Bain, Sonny Styles, pick 10's a huge deal. And I was doing some digging into the Bengals draft history. I feel like they had a good draft this past year. Somebody was pissed off at me the other day because they said I thought they were going to cut a rookie, which no, they're not cutting any rookie this year. It was actually pretty good. Shamar Stewart, first round draft pick. Once again, I think we saw 7 or 8 games from Shamar Stewart. We'll talk about him in a second here when we get into the draft. Demetrius Knight, my Gamecock legend in the second round. Dylan Fairchild, offensive lineman. Barrett Carter. I know Demetrius Knight and Barrett were graded poorly. That Bengals defense in the final 4 games of the season got better. The issue was you're going up against like Jacoby Brissett, Quinn Ewers, and then who'd you guys play in the final game of the regular season? You're not playing like, Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes and holding them to 24 points. But Barrett Carter, I even go back to like last year. Imagine like if Puka Nacua, like the draft changes so much. And I take it from a Packers fan. We're small market, right? Green Bay small market, Cincinnati small market. We don't spend a ton of money in free agencies, right? My Green Bay Packers signed Josh Jacobs and Xavier McKinney on day 1 of free agency 2 years ago, and it broke like their franchise record for most money spent in day 1. They picked up 2 starters. So we don't spend money. So what do? We breed them through the draft. That sounds a little bit weird, but you grow them and breed them through the draft. The Bengals have not had success in the draft. So I said Puka Nacua. That's how much drafts change. Look at Brock Purdy and the San Francisco 49ers. Last pick of the draft. That's their starting quarterback. Puka Nacua. Late draft. If they don't draft Puka Nacua, that Rams team is not the same Rams team. They would have gone in different avenues. It would be a different roster. They'd have a different wide receiver. Maybe it wouldn't be as bad, whatever. But that's how much the draft changes it. And it's so different than like the NBA where it's just 2 rounds. You need to draft. Your first round talent needs to produce. He needs to be an immediate starter. Your first round pick. Your second round pick should also be a day 1 starter. But if you're on a good team, your second round pick, like I'll use let's see here. Maybe like McKinley Jackson, 2024 third round pick. Chris Jenkins, 2024 second round pick. These are guys that you see in your rookie season, and they're making plays, and they're growing as rookies, and you notice them. And then the next year comes, they don't, the starter's gone, these guys come in, and then just like that, they're starters in the NFL. I look at like last year, 2 years ago's draft pick. Here's every pick outside of the third round. Eric All, Josh Newton, Tanner McKillen, Cedric Johnson, Dijon Anthony, Matt Lee. I mean, you know what I mean? They need to draft better. And so one of the biggest issues, how is this a thing? I've got it right here. They've got the smallest scouting department by far in the National Football League. Like, it's organizational issues in Cincinnati. And you have a Hall of Fame quarterback. Joe Burrow, if Joe Burrow ends his season, if he ends his career, whether it's an early retirement out of nowhere, day one this upcoming season, or it's 10 years from now, if Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals don't have a Super Bowl, it's an utter failure. And take it as a Packers fan, it's hard to get to the Super Bowl. You guys have been there, done that. It's harder to get back to the Super Bowl. You don't get many of the chances. You know, I'm an Aaron Rodgers guy. I got his Jets jersey right here. We won one Super Bowl with Aaron Rodgers. And it's viewed as a failure, but I don't really care because I remember being 11 years old, 12 years old, and watching my Green Bay Packers win the Super Bowl. So some moves I anticipate. Cam Taylor-Britt's done. That experiment's done. I can't believe how that ended. It's crazy. Cam Taylor-Britt a couple of years ago was a fascinating, intriguing, stud young cornerback. TJ Slayton, I think he's getting cut. Noah Fant's definitely getting cut. Oren Burks, my former Packers linebacker, that dude is definitely getting cut. Trey Hendrickson, his franchise tag's like $30 million. So maybe they give him the franchise tag and then try to get some type of draft capital from that. But it doesn't appear Trey Hendrickson's playing for Cincinnati next season. BJ Hill, 31 years old, coming off a poor season. He might not be back. But Miles Murphy looked good. Shamar Stewart's got the potential. Where was I going with the draft here? There's a bunch of different avenues Cincinnati can take in the draft here. First round at pick number 10, you're highly anticipated to take an edge rusher. And it's February 14th. It's Valentine's Day. Happy Valentine's Day, everybody. Hit that like button. Hit that sub button. We're 12 minutes into this video. I try to do daily content on this channel, and then I changed my format on Will Upton to face videos and like actual, like it's an 8-minute script, and then I get into kind of something like this, and it honestly takes me way longer to edit it. It takes me a long time to do it, and then before you know it, it's nighttime, and I have no energy, and so that's why you've seen like a video every 2 or 3 days on this channel, and it's also February, so keep that in mind. But the draft's so far away. Free agency will give you a good tell of what this team will or won't do in the NFL draft. I've seen Sonny Styles mock T at pick number 10. Sonny Styles, his draft stock is rising. He probably won't be there in 3 months available at pick number 10. Ruben Bain out of Miami is a player I keep seeing go 3 overall to the Arizona Cardinals. I keep seeing Ruben Bain, 4 to Tennessee. I keep seeing him in the top 5. I don't know if that's going to stick. I don't really think that's going to stick. So I think Ruben Bain, Sonny Styles, whoever's there available at pick number 10, I think you're going to go in that direction. There's some nice offensive tackles that could fall, but I would anticipate if Cincinnati's going to be, looking for some offensive tackle depth, I don't think you're going to see that till like the 3rd or 4th round. So another guy, Keldrick Falk, edge rusher out of Auburn. It's similar to Shamar, though, where he had very limited production, but the upside is crazy, like a rare kind of athlete, just like Shamar Stewart. So I'm kind of not necessarily feeling that whole experiment again, even though I've made so many film reviews on Shamar Stewart over on Will Upton because the talent's there. I mean, he's going to be a good NFL player. Jeremy McCoy out of Tennessee, cornerback as well. I kind of am anticipating you guys to pick up a cornerback in free agency, but edge rusher at pick number 10 I think is the route. And then, in the second round, if you didn't take that edge rusher in the first, you can take an edge rusher in the second round at pick number 41. You could double down on an edge position, go right at it. I've seen Zion Young, TJ Parker, Christian Miller, defensive tackle out of Georgia. You can never go wrong drafting SEC football players, in my opinion. You can never go wrong drafting defensive tackles out of Georgia. You can't go wrong drafting defense out of Georgia, in my opinion. So I like that. Third round pick 72. Safety position, you might go safety. We'll see what they do with the safety position in free agency. You could double down on defensive tackle. There's some guys like Lee Hunter out there. Fourth round, could be looking at a future wide receiver in the 4th round. Cornerback if it hasn't been addressed. Safety again if it hasn't been addressed. Defensive tackle if you want more defensive tackles. Edge if you want more edge. Cincy's defense, it's going to be better next year. If it's not, I will officially give up on the Cincinnati Bengals I think just officially, if they botch this draft, if they don't get one clear-cut stud, nice draft pick, Cincy, if they don't get one of those, unless they killed in free agency, $60+ million in cap space, then it wouldn't be looking good. But it's not doom and gloom. Cincinnati's got 1 year right here. Kind of reminds you of around that Super Bowl window where they've got the draft capital, they've got the money, they've got the roster. There's no big extension you guys need to be handing out. There's nothing bad. So if Joe Burrow's healthy and they do their thing defensively in free agency in the draft, the Cincinnati Bengals should at least be a 10-7 team next season if Joe Burrow plays 14 or more games. So we'll talk more Bengals as it goes on, especially if you're a Bengals fan. Let me know your thoughts from this past season, the offseason ahead, the draft, anything you want to throw in there. But thank you guys for watching. Hit that like button. Hit that sub button for daily NFL content. Thank you for all the support. If you're still watching right now, this channel has gone way better than I anticipated. So thank you for watching. But we'll see you soon. Goodbye.